Hello everybody, I hope you are all well. It's Keris here helping you get your business into schools and nurseries, and I am so excited to be joined by one of my amazing Approaching Schools Academy members, Van, who is going to come to talk to you all about how she's got her business into schools so you can get some insights into how you can make it work for your business too. So if you are currently watching us on replay, please do write replay below so we know who was here and we can have a chat in the comments later. But Van, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Van and I am the owner and teacher at Children Inspired by Yoga South Tyneside. So it's a franchise, one of the longest yoga franchises across the country for children's yoga. And I just started it up in March, April last year.
Fantastic. And I'm sorry if thunder distracts you in the background. Okay. My husband's out at work today, so she's in here. That's amazing, Van. Thank you so much. And when did we meet? We must have met through a free challenge, right? Can you remember when your first one was?
Yeah, it was I think your April one. It was around then that I joined the challenge.
Yeah. Oh, fab. So why first of all did you decide to join a free challenge with me when you saw it being advertised? What made you want to come along?
Well, I was struggling to get into schools and nurseries, despite having been a primary school teacher before. Some of the techniques that I was using, it wasn't working. I kind of knew it wasn't working. Even as I'm doing, I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. And you said you would show us how in 5 days, and it was free.
Yeah.
And I just felt, I think there was a lot of things that I thought, I've got nothing to lose by trying it. Let's see what it's all about, because I don't have a clue. So nothing to lose, really.
That's an interesting point, actually, isn't it? Because a lot of people come into this having been former teachers themselves. I see Andy's here. Hello, Andy. Andy's saying hi to Thunder. Thunder is currently being a pest, Andy. So if the computer falls over in a minute, it's her. But being a former teacher, and I was a primary school teacher myself as well, sometimes we just kind of maybe assume that it's going to be easy for us because we've got that prior knowledge of teaching. And I think sometimes people who don't come from a teaching background wonder whether teachers have got some secret advantage, but actually it can be just as hard and just as tough going, because yes, we've been former teachers, but we haven't necessarily had business and marketing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still strangers to them. They still don't know me. So
that's it, isn't it? That's it. They don't know you yet. Okay, great. So you joined the free challenge. You obviously must have got some level of results or aha moments in the challenge itself. So what made you then decide that actually I want to come into the Approaching Schools Academy as well?
Quite a few things, I think. So I've got 2 really small children, and I'm trying to, at that point I was trying to start my business. And one of the things I felt was that I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say in the emails. And every time I was second guessing myself. I just didn't have a lot of confidence in what I was doing. And I just wanted someone to tell me what to say. What do I say? What do I do? I've got 2 small children, so I don't sleep very well. I just didn't have that cognitive brain power to come up with eloquent, educated sentences or anything that might make even any sense. And in the challenge, you were doing that. You were giving everything to me in bite sizes, which again, as a mum, I need. I was watching your videos first thing in the morning when I was getting dressed. That was the only time I had to myself. So I would listen to them, and then I would have most of the day to think about it, like on the school run or whatever. If I stole a moment, I was able to do a bit of it. And I found that manageable. It sounds really bitsy and chaotic, but if your mum, probably that's your life.
Yeah.
And I found that manageable. And then when I saw what was in the academy, one of the things that I really wanted, obviously, were the templates, so that it takes a lot of the work out for me. But also it was your marketing calendar. I felt like when I was starting up, I was missing things, like not really missing things, but I was finding out about, really important dates, like, Mental Health Awareness Week, or just little things that I could have hopped on to market. And I was finding out about it too late to do anything. Not that it's passed, but it was like, oh, it's happening in 2 weeks. I can't do anything. And I was scrambling to try it. I was staying up really late too. I felt exhausted. And And I just felt like there had to be another way to do this and
Yeah.
learn more about it. I didn't, like you said, like I don't have a business background. I don't have a marketing background. I had no strategy. So so those were the things that I was looking for that were in the academy that I would have paid money for.
Yeah.
But I was still unsure. So I spoke to Danny, who is in the same boat as me, as in she's a franchisee. She's also in the same area of the country. So I felt like I was speaking to someone that had a similar idea of the market, because being up in the Northeast, I think it is quite different to being down in London. I used to live in London. And I was a parent of children activity classes in London. So I sort of know that market. I'm starting to understand it up here. I know it a bit better, but it was really nice to speak to somebody who is up here, from up here, and is a franchisee as well.
Yeah.
To understand, what were the benefits for her joining the academy, and the two together just sold it for me. I felt like, again, I had nothing to lose in terms of, obviously the money, but I felt like I was gaining because I didn't have any knowledge before.
Yeah, and it has a return on investment, right, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But great that you got those insights from Danny. And I remember Danny was very new. You would have seen her on one of these interviews as well. She was very new to her franchise business at the time, but actually had a lot of success within around about 1 term's worth of work. She was making back her money and then some from working in schools. So it's great that you were able to obviously chat to her. There will be people watching right now, Van, who are being inspired by you. So there will be people on a video interview in a few months' time saying, I watched Van's video. But it's true. I bet when you spoke to Danny back then, you didn't think you'd be somebody perhaps on one of my videos so soon.
No, I really didn't at all. I know things take time, and I think I'm still in my first year of trading, and I always told myself, it will take time. It's my first year. Or to have the results that I have so far, I feel really proud. But I'm always saying thank you to you, because I wouldn't have been able to get anything.
Oh, you're welcome. But you've done the work. Sammy's saying, looking good, Van.
That was just
Hi, Sammy. How are you doing? So let's talk about what you get in the academy then, because you mentioned some of the things that piqued your interest and made you want to join. You heard that it's not just a course, it's practical tools that you can actually use and implement in your business. So you mentioned the marketing calendar, for example. For anyone that doesn't know, that's got like all kind of different awareness and celebration events on it. However, not the really tedious ones that you'll find on all the kind of American websites, only the ones that schools are going to be looking for providers to bring in on those days and during those weeks. So they're on there. You get my suggested kind of launch dates for your campaigns, when I think you should be sending your emails out. You get your suggested follow-up dates on there, and it is an actual calendar. So you can, and I know some of my members didn't realize this actually, but you can actually subscribe to it and get those events appear in your Google Calendar or your iCalendar or whatever you've got on your phone as well, so that you've always got them with you, and it's not just a page somewhere that you kind of leave and forget about. But in the academy, we've got it's like a hybrid program, isn't it? So you've got one element where you log in with your private login details, you get access to all of those tools, but you also get videos, worksheets, templates. And then we've got the other side of the academy where you're getting your live support with me and Philippa, soon to be Karen, our curriculum expert as well, who's coming in to work with you all. How did you find the process of kind of working through the modules, would you say?
Really easy. Like I said, your videos are really short. Maximum, I think the longest one I ever saw was maybe 9 minutes. So it's so manageable even to just take in that information. I know that if I'm listening to something for a really long time, I will drift off. But also if you get interrupted, you can go back to it and you don't feel like you've got to find your place in a 20-minute instruction video. So it was dead easy. Sometimes if I didn't have time to watch the video right away, if like people were around, my kids were around, or I couldn't put the speaker on, I'd flick through all of your templates to sort of get almost like a preview of actually, okay, what is this module about? Where's she going to go with this? What could the video be about? So almost like a prelim study, if you will.
Yeah.
And that really helped. So I'd seen the templates, and then I could match up what you were saying to what the templates were, where we're going with it.
Right.
So everything was really, really easy to follow through. I don't think anything was really difficult in terms of your instructions. And if it was, I would get on the Q&A and ask my daft questions, being like, did I do this right?
No question is daft.
You know, and so I just think it's dead easy. It's not time. I don't find it to be time consuming at all.
I love that you said that, actually, because you came on here sort of talking about what you described as perhaps what might be perceived a bit of a chaotic lifestyle with this. You know, you've got the kids, you've got the school run, you've got little pockets of time here to yourself, you know, to listen in when you're getting dressed and things like that. But you're also saying you've still found it manageable despite all of that. And I know there will be a lot of mums and dads with young families, perhaps also still have a side hustle or a day job or something like that, trying to make their children's activity business work, and just thinking, how can I fit in the business development side of things? And I designed it especially with people like you in mind, because I know just simply having a children's activity business can be chaotic. You know, I remember as a dance teacher, I was sometimes working in up to 6 different towns per day, just driving between them all. And that was without a family and without another job or whatever. So I understand and I get it, and that's why I've designed the academy in that way, so it is accessible no matter how you like to learn. There are some people that just want to power through. We give you instant access so that you can do that. You don't have to feel like you're waiting for people each week to catch up with you. But equally, if you need more time, we give you more time. We're actually now giving a full 12 months of live support as well, so that we can help you through it. Because you mentioned that if there is anything you don't quite understand how it applies to your business, just jump on a Q&A at the end of the week and ask me, and I'll help you with ideas for how you can apply it to your business. And you could jump into that community and ask the other children's activity providers as well in the meantime, if you can't wait for my weekly Q&A. So tell me about that side of things then, because we have a Facebook group that runs alongside the self-study course, and there's all sorts of different children's activity providers in there. So you will have found other yoga people, you would have found other people in your local area, and you also would have found a really diverse range of people that can give you a variety of experience based on what they've done as well. And I'm in there, so I jump in for my live Q&A every week. Philippa's in there, so she does a mindset Zoom call every month. I do a business call every month. Karen is going to be coming in and doing a curriculum links call for lesson planning every term. How have you found it with the live support aspect inside the group?
Again, I think it's really valuable, and maybe something that, you know, if you're thinking you just want the modules, you think, okay, great, I just want the modules. I'm not really interested in that live support. But actually, the community bit and the Q&A and the Zoom calls were probably where I've learnt the most. You've got your papers and you've got your modules, but they sort of sit alone. And I think also, you know, being a business owner, you are on your own, and it's really lovely to have that community. Like, I think one of the things I still struggle with is finding a way to celebrate those wins, and the community in the Approaching Academies is that everyone will celebrate how amazing you're doing, because you're motivating them, you're inspiring them, but they are just genuinely happy that you're doing well. And it's really nice. You sort of sit there, yes, you're on the end of your phone all by yourself, but you're not. You know, you've got that community there of people that are cheering you on, and it's really nice, because I think when you are by yourself, it can feel like, I've done a win, and there's no one there to share it with. So that bit's really lovely. I have found other yoga providers, which is really nice. Finding really nice like-minded people that are sharing the same passion, people that aren't doing yoga, but again, I found more business friends, which again is it's so lovely, and I've learned so much from my other business friends who are a bit further on than I am as well. So again, really nice to learn from them what it was like for them at the beginning, managing expectations, but also learning some tricks of the trade from them. So that's the community side of it. The Q&As are brilliant, because you can just pop on there, drop your questions on, and you're so brilliant. You answer everything, and with a big smile. You never say that anything's too silly or anything like that, which is really, really lovely in terms of feeling safe to be able to ask all those questions.
It's important, right?
Yeah. And most of the time I can't actually get on the live. So one of the things I really like about your program as well is the replays.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't even get to watch it until the week following, just because. But I know that I've put my question out there. Anything that pops into my head that I don't really know, I'll do it. And if I need an answer before your Q&A, I get on there and I ask other people, and it gives me a bit of information to make a decision either way, which is really lovely, because again, there are people that are further ahead with me in their business journey, and may have already experienced something that I have, which is really nice. So I find it really helpful. I think also one of the things that I really underestimated when I joined, and maybe just in business in general, is your mindset.
Yeah.
I was like, don't need that, I genuinely didn't think I needed to work on it. It's like, it's fine, we're going through it. But no, Philippa's sessions are amazing. I used to listen to the success meditations before I went on a sales demo, just to get my head in the game. I don't necessarily do that anymore now. I just find a really good tune in the car and sing it all the way there. But getting your head in the zone is something that you need to do. And I've learned so much from Philippa in terms of my mindset, not just with business, but also like looking after yourself in business, which I think is a really lovely component of the Approach Academies thing. Obviously my business is all about well-being, and I think adding Philippa to the mix of that is looking after our well-being whilst we're doing our business, which is a really valuable tool that is taken for granted. So it's definitely the Zoom coaching calls are brilliant. If I can get on them with you, I feel really fortunate. When I think about the money I've spent, I remember thinking one day, I was like, I've just got off a Zoom call with Keris, and I've had 10, 15 solid coaching minutes with her.
Yeah.
And that was a part of my monthly payment. That was an actual coaching call. That's fab. I'm like, I need to do this more. And I don't often, because of the kids and their bedtime, but when I can, I will. But it's you get a lot for your money. I think you get a lot for your money.
Yeah, and we're always developing it as well. We're always throwing in new things, right? So at the end of last year, we brought in the CPD accreditation. So you can now work through an assessment and actually receive a certificate at the end of it, if that's something that you want to do as well. So always adding in kind of new things, new bonuses, because I'm listening to what you all say about what's helping you and what you still need. And whenever we bring in maybe a slightly different type of provider and they need something slightly different, we'll work to see if we can create something to help support them as well. So it's very sort of flexible from that point of view. So you mentioned that I know you've got a huge amount out of the kind of the mindset coaching, and you've made tremendous progress since you've been with us. Can you talk to everybody a little bit about some of the results you've experienced since joining the Academy?
So like I said, I started in April. So I guess my first sort of campaigns went out for May. And I've sent out campaigns every half term. Because I'm a franchise, I've got about 60-ish schools and nurseries in my territory that I work with. So I do fire at all of them all the time. And I managed to get 20 demos last year. So between starting and December, 20 demos. And I had to work out my conversion rate. I remember that was one of my silly questions in the Q&A. How do I work this out? And 60% of them have bought from me. They've not necessarily bought curriculum. So I remember you said to break it down a bit, but they have bought from me. They've given me their money. And I feel like that's a win for me. And some of them, it did take a while. Like one of them was my first demo in April, May. And they bought from me in December. So it took them 8 months to actually finally buy from me. And they did that from the following up, the constant following up. And I think, it has been a bit tricky, especially in terms of the mindset with the cost of living crisis and into everything with budgets and everything. I don't listen to the news anymore, not on that one. but that's been really wonderful. I've managed to get a couple of school contracts from these demos as well. So I had two sort of, I would say, like more meatier contracts, which worked out to be about $8,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I got them both in 1 week, and this is the thing, I was holding my breath, had to work a few things out, holding my breath, actually genuinely did not believe it was true, thought they were going to back out of it. But no, I'm almost finishing up the first one. So one school booked for a full day for a term, and another one booked for the whole year for half a day. So that's
fantastic. I love that. I love hearing from members who have started taking on annual contracts. And what I quite often hear, I remember hearing this from Danny as well, was that it was almost easier in a way to sell a longer term contract because you're giving more value. So it might have felt a little bit like, oh, are they really going to pay me this much money in the beginning? But yeah, they do, because it's easier for them to sign off their budget in one go and to know that they're going to have a reliable provider for the rest of the year. So for you to get in your half days, that's a fantastic gig, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think, it works differently with different providers. I had a nursery do a short contract. I had a school that had a small budget, so they're doing, a very short contract with me. But I've also learned to upsell from the academy as well. So I had one school approach me for one term of an after school club. And then from learning through the academy about upselling, I approached them for the rest of the year and I got it. So
amazing.
Yeah, it's been, and these are things that I wouldn't have, it's confidence. I think one of the real things I haven't really mentioned is it's confidence to give it a go. And yeah, they might say no. And usually if they say no, it's because of budgets, it's because of money. It's not because they don't actually want it, which can be really frustrating. But you can only ask. And if you do,
and you've started building that relationship, right? So when they do have some budget, if you're, like you said, you've been following some schools up for 5 months, for example, if they do have the budget, you're the person they're going to think of when they think about getting well-being and yoga into their school.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I've definitely seen the results. So I think it's hard for me to work out roughly, but it's over 8K that I've made from joining the academy.
What a return on investment since April last year, was it? You joined May probably. We did the challenge in April. So if you joined just after that, it would have been around about May. So in less than a year, you've made an extra £8,000. 8 times your investment, probably a little bit more from when you joined. 8 times the investment of the Approaching Schools Academy, and still making money on top, because like you said, you've learned how to upsell now. You can confidently approach more head teachers that you're already working with and upsell more services. You've got the compound effect of those contracts renewing. Your longer term contracts at the end of the year, it's going to be easier to keep you than have to find someone else, isn't it? So it's that compound effect of each time you bring a new school on, they keep renewing, they keep paying, and then you bring new schools on next term and they keep renewing and they keep paying, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And like you say, there's some that have just paid one-offs, but they've started paying you. And again, you can approach them with a special offer again, see if you can get them in for another one-off. Maybe this time they've allocated a little bit of budget and they can get you in for a little bit more, and it goes from there. You're just building this momentum. Van, you've done fantastically well, like really, really well since I met you in April. Like the transformation has been tremendous.
Yeah, I think it takes engaging with the academy. It's not, I didn't sit here by myself and get here.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned something actually. You said there were some schools you really had to persevere with, and you were following up for kind of 5 months before you got something from them. Would you have really stuck with that if you didn't have the ongoing support of the academy, do you think?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. I think it's that confidence and not really understanding the business, even though again I've worked in it, not understanding that actually they are really busy. And I do know that being a teacher, they forget. I also know, having left the profession, that they are more busier than when I was teaching. And I know, from a day to day, the amount of things that teachers get asked to do and how much gets bumped out because something else has just been put on their plate, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I appreciate how busy it is for them. Nurseries are still a brand new sort of business that I'm understanding, or an organization that I'm understanding, but they are still incredibly busy. When I go in, I can see a lot of managers are pulled into ratio. They're not sitting at their desk. It's, you know, you're working with organizations where people don't sit at their desks. So they're not replying to emails because they're not at their desk. And I get that, but I think after a few months, you sort of think, oh, they don't like me, or no, they're not interested.
And that's where the mindset comes in, right? That's where, you know, you can check in with Philippa, get a bit of a boost, realize it's not about you, but that actually some things take a little bit of extra time. And like you say, sticking with it for a sort of solid 6 months has actually paid off wonders. I mean, 8 times in your investment, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is. I think, you know, following up is a real big message. I know you always say it, but it really does work. Like, I remember once sending out an email for a demo, and it was like the last week. It was for the last week of school in the summer. I know what that week's like as a teacher, and I literally sent off these emails like, meh, I'm done my campaign. Was not expecting anything, and I had a school come back to me saying, yes, can you come in? And they wanted more classes. So it's you just don't know. You just don't know. So
yeah, absolutely. Andy says excellent progress, Van.
Thank you.
So Van, would you have anything else to add to anybody who's perhaps thinking it's really time to grow their business by working with schools and nurseries this year, or is perhaps thinking of joining to get some support? What would you say?
I think do it. I think you know, like if you can financially, and I know Keris has, you know, options to support you with that, I definitely think it's worth it. I think you will gain something from it. You will, you know, if you don't gain the modules, if you don't think that's valuable, you'll gain from the team support, from the community. You'll gain from having someone on hand there. You will gain from boosting your confidence. You will gain from your well-being in terms of being a business owner. I think every time I listen to Keris when she's doing all of her little bits from her podcast, whenever Keris does something new, I am listening, even though I'm you know, I've been in the academy now for 6 months and I'm still in there. I'm there because every time she says something, or she's done her masterclasses, there's just a little bit something that I learn. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'll try that. Actually, that's a really good idea. Well, I could try that. And it's that soundboarding and ideas. And I think you will gain something from it that can progress your business in some way if you want to work with schools and nurseries. And I think everyone tends to think they know schools and nurseries because we've all gone through it and we all interact with it, but we don't.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Wise words. Thank you, Van. Well, thank you so much for giving up your time and giving your insights. I think that's going to have inspired a lot of people as to how they can make it work for them. And I think you had a really strong message there, is that it can take time, but if you stick with it and you have the tools to help you with kind of your mindset, you have the support to help you persevere and follow up, it will happen. The results will come when you put the work in and you stick with it. So you are a tremendous example of that. So thank you for coming in and inspiring everyone, and good luck with the rest of your time, obviously getting more yoga into more schools and helping more pupils and teachers with their well-being. It's amazing what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks everyone who joined us live. We'll see you soon. Bye.